Hey guys, Robert Hamm here with Robert Hamm Photography. Today I've got another check out my camera for you, but it's a little different. As you'll notice, we're indoors, so fooled you. But today we're going to talk about the RICOHFLEX Model 6, and there's some little modifications I've got going on. I want to share with you what it looks like on the inside and some thoughts on how to fix some things that you might encounter should you decide to pick one up. Awesome camera. Let's get into it. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe if you think this video is cool and you find what I talk about helpful. Get chatty with me down in the comments below, and I need your help. I've got a camera in production right now. It's a camera very similar to this one. It's an old box style camera. I'll start showing images of it here soon. But the idea is, I need to know, what do you think? Should we use, or should it use Instax film, or should it use 120 film? And I'm at a point in developing it where I need to know what kind of mechanism I should be putting together. And this is kind of the last stage in prototyping for me. I've been working on this for the past year when I started taking apart old cameras to figure out how they work and started learning about optics quite a bit so I could figure out what optics work for you. I gotta tell you, when I reveal the ground glass for this thing, you're gonna be amazed. Man, it's really great. But still, I need to know what you think. Do you think that it should use Instax film, or do you think that the first camera that I produce should use 120 film? This is a product that I'd like to bring to market through a Kickstarter campaign, and I need your help and input so that I can do that. Right now, I'm only going to be able to produce about 100 units once that Kickstarter campaign gets going, but I need to know what you think. So if you don't mind leaving those comments down below, I'd really appreciate it. Let's get started talking about this RICOHFLEX. This RICOHFLEX Model 6, 80mm 3.5 to f/22 lens, 1/100th of a second, all the way down to bulb. TLR design with the ground glass, you know, all that cool stuff in there. What about this camera? Well, first of all, this camera was built by RICOHFLEX in the mid-1950s. They have many different models. This particular model is the 6, one of the most prevalent ones you'll find. Another one that is very sought after is the 7. When you think about design and you think about how much these things cost, you can find them for $10 or $20 over on the flea market or the yard sale, something like that. This particular model had such terrible leatherette, I just took it all off. I'm going to refurbish it with, I'm thinking, some red leather, something like that, or maybe a red carbon fiber or a matte finish, something. I don't know yet, but what I would like to do is talk to you about how this camera works. First of all, you have your cocking lever right here where you would press up to cock and then push down to take your picture. Notice you see that other little lever moving. This lever is actually manipulating the cocking arm, which is right here, this little spot right here. And I know that that may be hard to see, but that's actually what gets pushed up and then pulled down. And there you heard that when I cocked it and pushed it up like this, it stayed, and then when I pulled down, it went down. Of course, this is in an excellent working type of condition model, which this one is not. Right now, if I push up, you'll hear it automatically resets. That's because the spring inside is broken. That doesn't mean that this couldn't be used. It just means that that would be awkward to have to cock like that all the time right before you shoot, and half the time it just maneuvers over. So you can find springs, special springs from Custom Spring Company, CSC, online, which is where you can get springs for machines like this, or you could just make your own if you had some little steel. It all depends. But how do we even go about doing that at first? Well, I'd like to share with you the first thing is the ground glass, okay? The ground glass, I've gone ahead and cleaned the ground glass up, but lots of people don't know just exactly what you have to do, or are kind of scared in order to make a change. So I've gone ahead and taken the screws out of it. These things were made to be serviced. So all I have to do here is just take off my tape that I use. I use gaffer's tape to hold this together for you guys. Once I take that off, we will notice that the top comes right off. And then look, now guess what you could do? If you guys are already realizing you could clean that mirror, then you are right. That's what I'm sharing with you to do. Take it off and clean that mirror with something like denatured alcohol or something. You know, this is an actual mirror. So there's glass on top of the silver surface that makes the reflectiveness happen. And that's important because you could actually clean it with glass cleaner or something. But denatured alcohol or distilled water would probably be your best bet. But for me, I just used glass cleaner. It worked out great. But once you do that, you'll notice you've got this right here. Guess what? This is your ground glass. Now, you can fix this whole housing, and there it is. That's the ground glass. Do you see those two clamps? That one there and that one there? Those are just pressure spring clamps, and you just use your needle nose pliers and you take them out, and the glass comes out. In fact, I have already cleaned this glass both front and back, and when I did so, I went ahead and drew the lines back on where they were missing, because when I took the lines off, guess what? I used lighter fluid in order to clean this real well, and that rubbed the lines off. So I just remembered where they were and drew them back on with a marker afterwards. I drew them on the rough side, which is the side that faces down. The shiny side should always be the side that faces up on any of your ground glass. That's going to give you the nice contrast that you want to see right there. Anyways, how cool is that? So there it is. I'm not going to take the ground glass out. I just wanted you to see that's the ticket. Continuing on, we don't stop there. Once you take that off, you'll realize that the hinges underneath the frame are what hold the swinging door up. So that just comes right off at that point in time. How cool is that? Once we do, we've got the 620 roll of film in here that this took. Pop that out, and there's your cartridge. Okay, so now we've got a full, complete look. That's the back of the lens element. Check that out. And we're not done. If we look straight down, you'll see that we've got a box partition kind of thing happening right here. So let's do it. Now, we're getting ready. We're not really concerned so much for specs, but we're going to start talking about these lenses, because there's a very specific problem with these lenses, which is why I had to take this thing apart in the first place. Oh no, it's broken. It's not broken. This is what it looks like. In fact, you'll notice that the lenses have a mask that keep any additional air from coming through, and a buffeted gasket actually pops up to that, so that gasket's not the right word. A coupling sits up with there in order to help sit flush. You can actually see the indentations from where it sits flush, so that no light can seep through to your film. All right, when we look on the back, we notice that the little molded frame right there is actually tack welded on, which is pretty cool, and you might want to stop here. But let's talk about these lenses a little bit. These 80 millimeter lenses are equivalent to about a 40 millimeter lens in full frame, and they are a geared mechanism. Now what happens is you have this on the outside, which actually goes around the threads and locks them in. So if I can get this to work, great. When I take this off, notice I've already gone ahead on the front, and you should see that I've indexed them, right, with that little green line, they're indexed. When I take this off right here, which is what I want to share with you, the focusing problem, the lens just comes out nice and easy. Okay, so now we've got the lens separated. And when you look, you'll see that this right here is nothing more than a container. It doesn't have any focusing, or it doesn't do anything. It just holds the lens in place. And that's important, because what happens is that this lens is a 4-element lens. There's a small piece right here that's got to come off. Lots of threads. And then we get our first element out. Okay? Once we get that element out, you'll notice in there's some additional pylons that are holding that lens into place, but you'll also notice that we've got a sleeve right here that comes off. Lots. Okay? Okay. Lots. I'm still going. Okay. Now once that sleeve comes off, that gives us access. Now you may not be able to see it, but inside there's a little ring, and that little ring inside, not the ring inside of there, but the ring inside of the threads that I just unscrewed this coupling off, is another group of threads. And those are the focusing threads. See, the other coupling is supposed to be attached to that inner ring in such a way as to hold it onto the camera body and be tight. These threads are supposed to be loose enough with a kind of paste that they use, which over time turns to basically concrete. Not really concrete, but becomes very, very strong. Those threads are supposed to be able to swivel freely when you twist the lens, and that would then obviously connect to the gear on the bottom and twist the lens on a 1-to-1 ratio. That's exactly what we're looking for. However, over time it becomes seized, and you need to get inside of here, inside of these threads right here, in order to be able to remove that paste with a kind of solvent so that you can add some new gear oil or gear grease and then get it working again. This takes a lot of work, believe it or not. It's not easy. It's easy to take apart, but it's not easy to unseize these threads, and the camera will never focus as long as these threads are seized. So that's the number one thing that you're going to encounter when you go to a place looking for any kind of Rolleiflex camera that uses this geared focusing mechanism. If you can't turn the gears, then it's because, if you can't turn the lenses and the gears won't turn, it's because they are seized. Now, well, I'm not going to break this down any further today, but when you do, you will then expose the actual shutter mechanism. I'll go ahead and take this off right here. This lens comes right off. Look at that. Now this lens is off. So now, well, we'll take off the back lens, okay? Alright, so let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, I've taken off the back coupling of this lens so that the frame is totally removed. Don't forget, you got a little paper gasket. You don't want to get rid of those. Okay, and once we do, we're now looking at the actual shutter mechanism. Okay, now removing these two screws right here will actually reveal the shutter workings inside with all the levers and everything. However, what I wanted to show you now, if I can get it to stay open, is the bulb. Okay. Whoop. Okay. Now we can see that it's open, so it's on bulb, and then look, detinted all the way up and down. So there you see that aperture, that nice bladed aperture right there, and it's just all the way up and down. And there's the actual rear element of that lens as well. You can see it doing its magic. Really cool stuff right here. And removing these two screws will reveal all that. Of course, you can even break it down to the aperture blades and take it apart from there. Lots of stuff we went over today. Lots of cool stuff. So, there you have it. All these different things coming together in order to make a camera work, in order to bring something to you. So this personal project that I've been working on is getting close enough now that I feel comfortable revealing it. Today we've been talking about the RICOHFLEX Model 6, but now we're actually getting into a lot of fun because this tinkering is what got me started thinking about building a Brownie style box camera myself, and I'm really excited to bring that to market with you guys' help. So, to wrap it up, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm Robert Hamm with RobertHammPhotography.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I want to thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the flip side.